The disaster at Chernobyl was a sad and regrettable tragedy that we as human beings should be mindful of. In Twilight Struggle, it is a powerful US event that could help them win the game. Let's take a look at it here now on Legendary Tactics. The accident at Chernobyl was the worst disaster in the history of nuclear power. But in Twilight Struggle, the effect is both powerful and gamey. I'm not sure how the disaster itself is reflected in the card's event, but if I'm playing the US, I'm happy to see the card turn up in my hand. The Soviets will need to be aware of how to counter this card's effect. Let's take a close look at it now. Chernobyl is a 3-op starred US late war event card. If the event is triggered, the US player may designate one region, such as Europe or South America. For the remainder of the turn, the USSR may not add additional influence to that region by the play of operations points to place influence. It's important to note that the USSR may still place influence in the affected region via coups and event card effects, and may still conduct realignments there. Also, note that events that allow you to add influence as if you had played an ops card would not be allowed in this case. For the USSR, if you are fortunate enough to get this in hand, it is easy to mitigate. Just play the card in the last action round of the turn, proudly declare that you are taking the operations points first, and you get rid of it without suffering the effect. The real issue in mitigating this card's effect is if the US gets it in hand instead, likely headlining it and likely using it to affect Europe, potentially in an effort to win the game by controlling Europe. As the late war begins, the Soviets will have plenty of reasons to overprotect their holdings in Europe. It is unlikely that holding on to both Poland and East Germany by a majority of only 3 influence will be enough to prevent them being taken over by the US after a play of Chernobyl, especially if there are supporting events like Tear Down This Wall, East European Unrest, or Solidarity. So make the most of events like Comic-Con, the Reformer, and most importantly, Warsaw Pact formed, which will be your primary defense against a US play for Europe control. Whatever region the American player chooses as the recipient of this event, your best play is to distract the US as much as possible to prevent them from playing much in the region. If the US is going to focus on a single region at the expense of all the others, make the Americans pay that cost. Break control of key countries, weaken the American position with realignments or coups if possible, and generally be as much of a nuisance as you possibly can. If the US can't focus their efforts in the region protected by the Chernobyl event, then you have effectively mitigated its effect, along with likely moving your agenda forward in other parts of the world. For the US player, Chernobyl is going to be used almost exclusively as a headline in order to maximize its effect over the course of the turn. You're going to have to take a look at the board to see where this event might potentially be the most useful. Europe is a natural choice because of its obvious importance in the game, especially if you already dominate there and if you have some great Europe-focused events in hand. Take a moment to assess how easy or difficult it will be to take over the Soviet holdings there. The costs involved may just be way too high, and likely will be. Remember that going for the win by Europe control means that you will probably need to have a singular focus on that region, at the expense of dealing with crises caused by your opponent in the rest of the world. If you don't succeed, you may end up losing the game in other ways before the Europe scoring card comes out or before the end of turn 10. Don't forget that the USSR can still place influence by playing events, so there will be potentially counters in the form of the Reformer or Warsaw Pact formed that will throw off your careful calculations. It might be more generally useful to use this event to simply allow you to flip a region from your opponent's domination to your own, especially if you happen to have that scoring card in hand. Asia will likely be the best choice after Europe, as it is usually fairly locked down and it doesn't have the strong late war Soviet events that the Middle East does. Choosing a mid-war region for the event effect, such as Central or South America or Africa, as the target of Chernobyl can potentially work, but it is more problematic. This is because coups and realignments can still be performed in the region by the Soviets, which is likely not the case in Europe or Asia. However, if you can see a clear benefit for you, and especially if you have the scoring card in hand, it can be of benefit there as well. And remember that a singular focus in that region means that you lose ground elsewhere, so don't feel you have to make every play in the affected region. Set conservative goals for the turn, but make sure that you hit them. So in summary, as the USSR, if you get Chernobyl in hand, just play it on your last action round after taking the 3 operations points. If the US plays it, make use of the events that you have in hand that can help you defend the affected region and stir up trouble as much as possible in the rest of the world to distract the US from taking full advantage. As the US, this is a strong event, best used as a headline. Don't get too over-focused on the region that is affected, as you might lose significant ground in the rest of the world. And if you have a solid chance to win by snagging control of Europe, especially if you have the Europe scoring card or if it is turn 10, then go for it. This has been our analysis of the Chernobyl event card in Twilight Struggle. We hope you got some value out of this video, and if you did, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you here next time on Legendary Tactics.